How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're returning, for those that are new, welcome to my channel. This is Eddie Star Tarot, and today I'll be doing a reading for the zodiac sign Pisces. Pisces, today is your Friday spiritual read. I call them Spiritual Fridays. This is to help enhance you guys through your ascension process, as well as to evolve. Maybe there's wisdom that I have in this that maybe you don't obtain. I talk about many different concepts. So those that are possibly past this part of your ascension process, maybe there's some wisdom that I have that you need at this time period. That's why you're on my channel. And each Friday, a different part of the ascension process that I've been going through or I've gone through will be met. So at some point I may get to where you're at or where you need to transcend, right? Also, with that being said, everyone's wisdom comes from different places. You know, my ancestors have a little bit of a different experience than yours, and I've been gifted that knowledge. I've been gifted a certain wisdom that if you listen to, it's going to transform your way of thinking. And I often say that readers are attracted to readers, so a reader might come up to my channel, and this is meant to shift your perspective, even if I'm talking about things that you don't talk about, right? So the first part of this, you guys, I'm going to give you I'm going to pinpoint on a certain part of the ascension process, and I'm going to talk about coming out spiritually, authenticity, standing in your truth, and then I'm going to talk about judgment. All those things come about when we come out spiritually. And then I'm going to get into somewhere around the 20-minute mark. I'm going to get into your guys' oracle read or card reading, and I'm going to be using the White Light Oracle and the Secret Language of Light. So let's get on with the story. You guys, my story began, you guys, when I got sober. So I've been in recovery, and it's been about I've been sober now for 2 years and 3 months. I struggle with addiction. You guys know this about me. I've said it in my last readings. If you guys have caught my spiritual readings, if you're new, just so you know, I've one of the cycles that I went through for a very long time is addiction and alcoholism. I started at the age of 15 and ended. I got sober at the age of 33, and the date was January 20th of 2020. Somewhere around my 6-month mark is when I started. To me, is the spiritual awakening process happened for me. I started to acknowledge that, and it was the communication with the angels. Angel number 333 was my first number, and it took a while for me to even acknowledge that. It would take years, actually. Remember, everything that I say in this reading, in these readings on Friday, all of my readings, I say them with purpose. It's meant to activate you guys. Yeah, it was very expansive at that point when I acknowledged it. So let's talk about walking the fence. So you guys, Pisces, if you're in this part of your ascension process, you're possibly walking the fence. I call it not making a decision, and it's very stressful, very daunting, and it's a confusing time period when we don't make a decision. And that decision lies within, should I just totally commit to this ascension process, this spiritual path, or do I go back to the old? Do I go back to the old 9 to 5? Do I go back to those old relationships? Do I go back to those old people? Do I go back to the drinking? Do I go back to whatever has been holding you back? All of us show up a little differently, but a lot of us have a similar story. So you have probably teetering between both sides. That's also daunting. I'll tell you guys this, and I tell other people, make a decision, because that is going to be the best option. If you want to go back to the old, I implore you to go back to the old. Most people are like, what? I would say your best option is to take this ascension process, take the spiritual path, but I test it to this, you guys. Remember, so this part where I'm talking about me being an alcoholic, I did that cycle for 15 years of my life. It was a generational curse. It's something that I had to break a lineage of, because my mom's had it, my dad's had it, my mom's had it, my grandpa's had it, ancestors way before, right? So this is like lineage shit running in my DNA. So it was very difficult for me to finally get the help that I needed, right? But the cycle was this. I would go in this cycle of, and it would probably be anywhere from a month mark all the way up to a year and a half. Like I said, I did it for 15 years. So I would go through this cycle of where it's normal alcoholics where they drink. This isn't normal, but I would drink. It would be off and on, and I would lose things. People would get upset with me. I would try to stop, and then I would end up starting again. And then I would get to a point where then I had to make a decision again. And I call this the middle ground, where do I go back into the cycle or do I get help? And I would always say to myself, well, if I did decide to get help, I knew I was going to go back to this old cycle. But there's a point at the age of 33, like I said before, where I said, you know what? I need to get help. Otherwise, I'm going to die from this. It's a similar thing, you guys. And I say that cycle because you guys are probably going through some form of this. Maybe it's recovery, or maybe it's codependent relationships. And I know for a lot of us who are empaths, because the light and the energy that you carry, we attract beings or other humans who want to take our energy, right? So let's get to the part where you guys are setting boundaries. Okay, so, and this runs in tandem with judgment as well, you guys, but there's a part where in this ascension process where you are probably keeping things secret about your spirituality, and you're doing it for good reason, because you don't want to be judged, because you know that you're going to be. And the harsh news is that you will be. That's the band-aid that I have to rip off for you. I'm saying it a little different to you guys today than the other zodiacs, but it's going to work out. One of the most difficult things, you guys, is that you're in the initial phase. God can't allow you to get to the next level until you acknowledge where you're at in this phase, right? In this phase particularly, you have to get rid of people who you can't take with you to the next level. Because the next level is going to entail you to do work, and you can't be distracted, right? And oftentimes it is family, close friends, and lovers who distract us from getting to the next level, especially in the beginning. And they may not, some of them know, you guys, some of them are karmic, but a lot of them don't know what you're doing, why you're doing it. They just look at you as you're crazy, or they don't understand you. That's okay, you guys, but this is part of the journey. One of the ways, and this is the way that I have found where I was able to figure out who was for me and who wasn't for me when you set appropriate and healthy boundaries. You guys, when you set boundaries for people will walk out of your life. I'm going to let you know that. And it may sound like, why the hell would I want my family or my friends to walk out of your life? Because a lot of the times they're keeping you stagnant. For me, you guys, they didn't want me to stand in my power. They didn't want me to move forward. They liked me where I was at because they were siphoning off my energy. Whether they knew that on a conscious level or a subconscious level, right? The same is for you. Your path is different. You wouldn't be on this channel if you didn't have a path that God had for you. You are chosen. You are a light being. You understand what I'm saying to you. You guys, just the vernacular, just the verbiage that I'm using right now, most people don't use this. Why? Because you have something grander to do within this platform. So I call it two waves, you guys. The first wave is when you start setting boundaries. And there's two sides to this, you guys. I'm just trying to paint a picture so you understand the people around you. There's two sides to a relationship. You also are a part of this parasitic relationship. And there's no one to blame more than the other. It's just you. God doesn't want you a part of this relationship anymore, but I need you to understand why you don't need to be a part of it. And I'll let you know this process took me a year and a half to do. And then it took me a year and a half to stand in my power, my own authenticity. So this comes from 2 years of experience. So I don't judge you, and there's no pace. Everyone runs at their own pace. You might even get this done in weeks as opposed to months. Maybe it's years, maybe it's a decade. It just depends, but I'm giving you the first initial phase of this. you're possibly in a relationship that's codependent, a parasitic relationship. It is some see it as the enabler. Some see it as the narcissist and the empath relationship. That's another way to explain it. But in some way, these people either scapegoat you, gaslight you, breadcrumb you. These are different tactics, and usually it's narcissistic tactics. You have those type of people around you because the energy that you hold. If you start setting boundaries, people are going to walk away. When they start to gaslight you, like when they say, just for an example, wow, you're reading tarot, that stuff is the devil. Like, are you the devil? Or it's like passive aggressive stuff, right? And you start to just call it out. Can you stop being passive aggressive with me? Can you please not breadcrumb me anymore? Stop extorting me for my emotions. Stop being aggressive with me. I'm not being aggressive, you're being aggressive. And then when they get the opportunity that you've engaged, then they say, well, you've been doing this for 15 years, you're an alcoholic. That is how, those are the tactics of getting you into their circle, right? And it's also projection. Gang stalking is one of them. Is they need to, in order for, if you start calling out the behavior, they're going to walk away from you. But you have to remember, you guys, you're going to be met with oppositional force. The second wave is called the karmic. The karmic, you guys, this phase is difficult because they're going to fight you. They're going to want to get people around them and around you, and ideally it's other family members, other friends, to make you look like the problem, like you are the problem. And you're going to stand out and look like the problem, you guys. That's the unfortunate thing about this, because you're different. You've always been different. And they're going to play off of other people's egos, and they're going to get people that have hated you. So it's the unfortunate part of this process, but I need you guys to know it so you can empower yourself. So that's the initial phase, you guys. One of the things is when you stand in your own power, you have to walk your path. For me, you guys, it was tarot, right? I knew when I had my spiritual awakening, at probably around week 3 of my spiritual awakening, I knew that I wanted to do tarot, but I didn't do it for 2.5 years later. Why? Because I had to get to that vibration of being able to put my work out there. So I needed to do a lot of work, but I couldn't do that work around other people. You see what I'm saying? You get where this is all going, right? Right, Pisces? The difficult part was this. I had old programming that I had to move through. I also had to move through relationships that were keeping me stagnant. Eddie, they would say, Eddie, who do you think you are? You're a philosopher? Why are you meditating? That's weird. Or they're trying to downgrade, like, why are you eating healthy? What are you trying to look better than us? Stuff like that, right? It's passive aggressive stuff. But then it's like when you stand in your power, and I said, you know what? I am a tarot reader. I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to study this stuff, and I'm going to be the little weirdo that I am, right? Then it started to piss people off. Then there's like, well, you read tarot, that's the devil. Who are you talking to? Who are these spirits? What are spirit guides? Stuff like that, right? They're not going to understand it. It's not going to make sense to them, and it's not meant to make sense for people. You're walking a different path. You're meant to walk this path. So I had to get people out of my vicinity so I can concentrate on my work. And then I got to the point, you guys, is when I got in front of the camera and I realized all the things that they had said to me in my whole life, I had to work through it. I couldn't even talk to the camera because I was thinking I would start my reading and I would say, let's say I got alignment, and I was like, alignment is this, and dude, I'm not in alignment. My parents are right. I'm Christian. How can I do this? This is the devil. I had to go through all that systematic programming. And it's no fault to anyone in my family, no fault to the people that were close to me. That stuff was in my mind, right? I had to work through it. And look at the end of the day, you guys, it's funny. They're just a piece of paper. It's a card with a picture. We give too much power to this card. Where is the knowledge and the wisdom coming from at the end of the day? Me, my mind. Because my mind is the conduit to the source, God. We as people give power and call it the devil or God, right? So whatever you want to call it at the end of the day is what you will call it. It is a perspective. But I allowed other people to impede in my journey, and then I made it my own, and it wasn't my own. My walk wasn't their walk, so they had to leave. And so then when I got by myself, I realized that their voices were in my mind already, but it was because it was my voice. And then I had to overcome that, and it took a 2 year process, you guys. And here I am today telling you guys it, and now I'm empowering you, because maybe you're not a reader, maybe you're a doula, and a doula is looked at as odd. Maybe you're a Reiki master. Well, what do you think? You're Jesus? You're going to start getting that, right? What, do you think you can heal with your hand? It's make-believe. I can't see this shit. You see how those are the things and the ideas that are going to be projected onto you. And no doubt that it will be. And I'm saying this, you guys, is that you have to walk the path. That's part of the ascension process. There's going to be a portion where you're just going to have to give it your all no matter what. Move through it. And the last thing before I get into your card read is that this judgment. Your parents, your friends, your lover is just the beginning. They are the beginning. They're just the prime example of most of what humanity is going to do. There's parts of this journey that you're going to have to walk through, because you're going to find that you're going to meet with resistance the entire journey. No doubt. And even when you get to where you're going to get. Unfortunately, you guys, like I said before, I got all the judgment. They told me, and they played off the things that I had done in the past. They said, look at the crazy shit that he's saying. He's talking about spirit, universe, God. God is in the Bible. The Bible's the only way. What he's talking about is blasphemy. He is listening to spirits. He's talking to the devil. He must be doing witchcraft. He must be doing this, right? Or he's nuts. And then they make everyone believe that. And it was one of the most hurtful things, because when I actually stood in who I wanted to be, it wasn't enough for them. And that's the part that you're going to have to go through. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off for you guys, because that is part of this, and it is a level that you need to get to. So, and I say this, you guys, Pisces, what's difficult about this is I can give you the information, but when you go through it, when shit hits the fan, it's a whole different story. But you're going to remember my words at some point and realize, you know what, that guy was right. I am going through this process. And a lot of the times, you guys, I'll say it like this. I notice how I talked about all the people that were around me. Those people were me. I had to get to a point where I did enough work within me to take 100% accountability for where I was, because I was projecting on them as well. You're going to get to the next level, and I'll get to this in another reading, but you'll get to the next level where you got to forgive them. But we'll talk about that later. Let's get into your read. Spirit, what do we have for Pisces? We have Soulcraft. Beautiful. When I see Soulcraft, you guys, my interpretation of this, it's a beautiful card. Let me show you. It could be talking about solar plexus energy as well as the sacral. These are two energy points that need to be focused right now within your guys' journey. You guys might, and it's talking about, the sacral talks about if it's blocked, unhealthy relationships, but one of the most primary things is the unhealthy relationship you have with yourself. You could be overly sexual or under sexual, just depends, or you could also be shy, anxious, stressed. Also solar plexus, not following your heart, right? So those two energy points need to be focused as I look at this card. Soulcraft to me, you guys, is your blueprint. One of the things that I preach and teach about the most is your life purpose, because your life purpose is everything. One of the things that I learned that helped me with this life purpose thing, and I still haven't even studied it. It's something I need. I don't know why I'm saying this, but astrology. I need to study astrology intensely, because that is my next portion of this. But maybe that's something that you guys are doing, and maybe your next thing is cards. I don't know, but what was I going to say? Oh, blueprints. when I was reading about mysticism and esotericism, and one of the things that I was learning in Hermeticism and Kabbalistic teachings is that that everything here is made by design, right? So that means that there is a creator. So depending on where you're at, you have to acknowledge that, wait a minute, there is an intelligent being or source that created this place just by the dynamics of it, right? Everything's made geometrically. Plants, the sphere of the earth, the star alignments, the universe, right? It was made specifically. And then when we look at the human design, or we look at animals, everything's made with ratios. The golden ratio, to be specific, everything's made within sacred design. Whether we call that the Merkaba, the life of Pi, or the life of Pi, what am I trying to say? The tree of life. Those geometrical shapes is within all processes, right? Whether we can see them or not. With that being said, that means that there's something higher than us, right? So meaning is this: energy can be in two different places, right? That we call this the higher self. The higher self is already connected to source, or is around source, or even a little bit closer than what we think. Now, with that being said, why are you here? Oftentimes, you guys, one of my biggest questions, Pisces, while being here on Earth, is because I felt so uncomfortable being here. Because life is hard, whether you want to admit it or not. And life, beyond, even with the spiritual game, if you were in the Matrix, this shit is difficult, yo. You got to get up every day and go to work. At 18, you get thrown out to the wilderness. And then if you grew up like I did, you're shy, you're fearful, you're afraid, you're manipulative, all this crazy shit, right? It just makes the journey so much harder. No one taught me how to manage a checkbook. No one taught me about finances. No one talked about bank loans. No one talked about any of this shit, right? I went and messed it all up. No one told me that I was bringing these bad things into my next relationship, right? With all that being said, you guys, you're here. Spirituality has filled in a lot of pieces that I had been asking my whole life. Why am I here? Well, Eddie, you have a life purpose. What is your life purpose? How did you figure that out? One of the ways, you guys, is to find out your life path number. Go figure out how to get your life path number. When you also go look at your natal chart, they're going to give you inclinations to where you're at right now, and also where you should be and where are you going next. It gives you a blueprint as well. And when we have a soul craft, that means we have a life purpose. And oftentimes there's people that never figure out that we have a life purpose. That's when you guys are going to be in your most magnificent self. Usually it's in service to other people, right? Usually, especially if you're spiritual, you're following your path. For me, it's tarot, right? I tell my medicine and I help another being. There's nothing more honorable than doing that, you guys. Changing your perspective, changing your life, healing yourself, and then healing other people. Standing in your power, and then having people stand in theirs. That's beauty. There's no other, to me, that is poetic. But let's read the book meaning. So I implore you guys to do the same as what I'm saying. Ooh, it's a short read, so let's see what it says. Life happens from you, not to you. The thoughts, ideas, and topics you incessantly discuss are crafting your life. So focus on ones that make your heart smile. You are ready to receive answers from your soul about any topics, thoughts, or ideas you want to change. Be wise in your crafting, and the path of least resistance will call you. Different soul vibrations will inspire different actions. If you're feeling tired, your inspired action will be to rest or sleep. If you're feeling love, you will be inspired to do things that emulate love in your day. We all sense with our soul, often override it with the rational mind. Trust your soul is bringing you the most up-to-date information. Following your heart, taking the next indicated step, following your intuition, your gut feeling. We have different sayings for this, right? Remember I said the solar plexus, the heart. Follow your heart. Your heart's going to give you what you need to do next. And also you have to remember this, you guys. If you've lasted this long in this reading, oftentimes when we have some you had me in your feed, right, and you pick the video, Maybe it's my face that attracted you, but deep down in your subconscious, it was the message that I'm trying to tell you. Maybe it's just the message you needed to hear today is the solar plexus and the sacral, and you guys are going to go heal that, and it's going to shift your reality. But listen to your heart, you guys, because your heart and your intuition is going to always get you where you need to go. Oftentimes, you guys, do you ever go to do a tarot reading and it's a pick a card, and you have 4 or 8 piles? How do you pick your piles? For me, it's either numbers or if it just feels right. I'll look at the name of the pile, and then I'll look at the numbers, and then I will just look at maybe they have an object, or I'm just using my intuition. I always choose right. But who says to say it's right or wrong? But it always pertains to what I'm going through. So you have to trust your gut on everything that you're doing. Your gut, your instincts are your strongest inclination as to what to do next. All right, so let's move into the other deck. I'm going to pick one card, and then we're going to call it a read, you guys. Spirit said, take the bottom one. You guys have Aurora of Gamma. Okay, so my interpretation of this card before I get into book meaning, you have a solar connection, so you might even, let me scoot my chair together, a little closer. You might have this connection to Egypt, or so like you probably resonate with past life regression or past lives, and one of your past lives was Egypt. Maybe like a goddess that you certainly like, maybe Bastet, Nubis, Isis. Or you can learn a lot by reading about these characters. It could activate you on a deep level. You are divine, is what I'm getting. You are a solar child. Sitting out in the sun is something that helps you elevate. To me, embracing your body is something that's huge here. She's holding her solar plexus, her heart. So there's something talking about your solar plexus energy. Aurora of Gamma. Well, I'm thinking gamma waves. So there's something going on in the mental space. So Pisces, what we've been talking about all day is that there's a need to allow. She's receiving, right? She's holding herself in. Meaning too, it's like she's trying to protect herself, as opposed to allowing, opening the arm, opening up, and showing your chest or showing the breast space, right? When we open up like this, we are allowing, as opposed to covering up. So there might be this need to allow, to be in your feminine energy. Meditation. Could possibly talking about a certain state within the... there's a certain state when you guys are in sleep. It's why we're able to dream the way we do, and there's a certain place that we get when we're meditating that puts us in certain, I forget what it's called, but it's a gamma wave, and those are actually the waves when we actually are connecting to source. So let's see what the meaning is, and then we'll call it a reading, you guys. It's 27. You guys might be 27 years old, or just 27 is a number that you like. It says Aurora of Gamma. It is time to let go of what has been. You are swiftly outgrowing your past. Oh yeah, it's exactly what we're talking about today. Explore and commit to a spiritual practice that supports your personal transformation so that you can cross the threshold before now. Embrace your freedom to be creative in your approach, rather than doggedly committing yourself to your previous ideas or plans. You have the spiritual intelligence necessary to evolve. Continue your healing journey with trust that a positive outcome is imminent. Aurora is the Roman goddess of the dawn, the bringer of light, and the initiatrix of a new cycle or chapter in your life. She is the luminous dispeller of darkness, the flickering flame of hope in the heart that can burn into such a radiant holy fire that even the greatest challenges do not cause the soul to turn away in fear. Her presence in a reading signifies a fresh start and the overcoming of an old cycle. Gamma waves are high frequency, typically 40 hertz in a human, but extending to higher levels with the hypergamma, there it is, hypergamma, oscillating at around 100 hertz. associated with spiritual insight and clarity, pure vision and breakthrough awareness. The gamma state is associated with a high level processing that leads to integration and end evolution. With the gamma frequency, we transform knowledge into wisdom through application. We tap into our ability to integrate information, and in doing so, are truly healed and transformed. As the world around us becomes increasingly complex, the capacity for superior processing is swiftly becoming necessary for the spiritual, emotional, psychological, and even physical well-being of humanity. There is a strong link between spiritual practices such as meditation and the production of gamma waves. When we experience a heightened state of spiritual awareness, an expansive sense of being, or a powerful connection with the universe or spirit, or your brain is in gamma mode. You see, guys, I want to point something out, because maybe you guys are just beginning at reading, like being a reader or channeling. How is it that I looked at this card and literally the book, I've taken things out of this book without even reading it? It's because imagery, connection, when you're connected to spirit, I say this to all beings, think about it just like this damn crystal. This crystal is a connector, a conductor. You as a human being are a conductor. You are the most beautiful conductor because you have a connection to God, right? When they say that you're a being of God, you are the image of God. You only need to align yourself to the principles and frequency of God. And we're trying to get you to that place. Trusting your gut, trusting your intuition is one of the huge things here, Pisces. You need to trust who you are. Oftentimes, me trusting myself, right? The bottom of the card was something that I needed to pick. I'm listening to all the things that Spirit's giving to me, but is Spirit actually talking to me right now? No. I can't hear them physically, but it's the signs that I'm listening to, right? That's something is meant to be said to you guys, Pisces, about listening to the signs, listening to your heart, listening to your intuition. Meditation is going to help you with that. Also, if you're a card reader, trust what you're saying is truth. Think about it like this, you guys. There's 7 billion people on the planet. You're going to connect with somebody, and have the faith that it's going to connect with who it needs to connect with. Or your tribe that's being called in, God is calling that tribe in. It is more than what you are. You need to trust in yourself, your intuition. Right? You are the conduit to God. This is the conduit right here. When you listen to this or this. All right, let's go. It says the world around you becomes increasingly complex. The capacity for superior processing is swiftly becoming necessary for the spiritual, emotional side. Oh, I said that. Shifting our gray matter gears into gamma waves can facilitate the breaking up of stagnant modes of thinking and behaving. This is the sacred frequency of evolution. Humans are stuck in patterns, repeat same stories. The same words, the same thoughts over and over, as though on a repeated loop. The soul can begin to wither within such constriction. What is needed is something new and increasingly alive, such as the life-stimulating grace of encounters with the unfamiliar. Connection to gamma waves can enhance our capacity to embrace the unfamiliar. And through the openness of being, constructive adaptation is enhanced. Our way of being becomes more fluid, responsive, and creative. We engage with our experiences and grow positively through how we respond to what is happening. Aurora of gamma indicates a shift into a new cycle, but also the growing presence of light within, which is the creative light of spirit. Tuning into that light opens up options for living soulfully, away from the grip of ignorance. No longer constantly ensnared by the compelling but ultimate fraudulent conjurations of ego. Her new era is an inner transformation with positive external consequences. Trust in what your inner light is manifesting in your heart and in our world. That's beautiful. Trust your guys' heart, you guys. When it said... cycles, it was talking about cycles to me. So what the ending message I want to tell you guys is that sometimes that we can see our cycle. Like for me, I knew my cycle about alcohol, right? And what was difficult is I can know that I was in the cycle, and it became so tiresome in my mind because I was like, damn, dude, I know the cycle and I can't get out of it. So you got to be patient with yourself. It's like one of the things that they teach us is knowledge avails us nothing. Meaning it's like you can know that you're in a cycle, and it's hard to still change a cycle because of our repetitive nature as human beings. We're very susceptible to programming. It's why I always teach you should know how your mind works. You should know how your heart works. You should know the vessel. You should know how the spirit realm works. The wisdom that you obtain gives you a better inclination on how you should respond in your life. The mind is easily programmed, and your subconscious is holding things. That's why they say you need to let go of the past, because the past is dictating your present. So you're breaking out of cycles, Pisces, and you're about to move into a new cycle, which is very amazing. You guys, I'm going to leave the reading there. It's been a great read. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, guys. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's read.